You noticed something. Maybe it was a pattern of behavior. Maybe it was a specific incident. Maybe you'd been building up the courage to say something for weeks, so you said it. And within minutes, somehow, you were the one apologizing. You came in with a legitimate concern and left defending your own sanity. And that has a name. In 1997, psychologist Jennifer J. Freyd at the University of Oregon named a pattern she had been observing in the behavior of abusers when confronted. She called it DARVO: deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. 3 sequential moves that perpetrators use, often instinctively, when someone tries to hold them accountable. And together, they function as a complete system for escaping responsibility while simultaneously making the person who confronted them feel like the one who did something wrong. Freyd described it this way: the offender rapidly creates the impression that the abuser is the wronged one, while the victim or concerned observer is the offender. Figure and ground completely reversed. The first move is denial, not just "I didn't do that," but delivered with conviction, sometimes outrage, designed to make you question the reality of your own experience. That never happened. You're exaggerating. You're remembering it wrong. And this is gaslighting embedded into the first step. Before the conversation even begins in earnest, they are already attacking your relationship with your own memory. The goal of the denial is not to convince you of anything specific. It is to introduce enough uncertainty that you begin to hedge, to qualify, to say, well, maybe I'm being too sensitive. And that uncertainty is the crack. Once the denial is placed, the attack begins. And here is the key move. The attack does not address what you said. It addresses who you are. You're doing this to control me. You've always been manipulative. You're unstable. You're vindictive. The conversation has shifted from their behavior to your character. You are no longer someone raising a concern. You are someone with a motive for raising it. And once your motive is in question, your account becomes suspect. And then comes the reversal, the move that completes the inversion. The perpetrator, having denied the behavior and attacked the victim's credibility, now steps into the victim role themselves. Look what you're putting me through. I can't believe you would say this about me. I'm the one who's been wronged here. And at this point, the person who started the conversation begins to feel guilty, not because they've been shown they were wrong, but because the person in front of them is now visibly suffering, and they are a person with empathy. This works for 4 reasons. We are wired to respond to visible suffering, and the person who cries loudest is often perceived as the most wronged. The attack on the victim's character works backward because once we believe someone has bad motives for making an accusation, we automatically downgrade the accusation. Empathy gets weaponized because victims of abuse often genuinely care about the person who harmed them, and seeing that person in distress creates real emotional conflict. And betrayal blindness means victims of trusted people experience a cognitive block around perceiving the betrayal because it is psychologically safer in the short term to believe the performance. A 2017 study by Harsey, Zurbriggen, and Freyd found that DARVO was used by 72% of perpetrators during confrontations across offense types, from minor social betrayals to sexual assault. And the more DARVO the perpetrator used, the more the victim reported feeling self-blame afterward. The manipulation didn't just deflect accountability outward, it redirected the victim's own conscience inward. A 2020 study with 316 participants found that outside observers who watched DARVO being used rated the victim as less believable, more responsible, and more abusive, and rated the perpetrator as less abusive. Strangers believed the rewrite, but critically, participants who were educated about DARVO before seeing it used were significantly better at seeing through it, which means the most powerful antidote is simply knowing this exists. Institutional DARVO occurs when organizations use the same 3 steps to protect themselves. A university that responds to a sexual assault report by investigating the reporter. A corporation that responds to a harassment complaint by questioning the complainant's professional conduct. The tactic scales from one person in a kitchen to a corporation in a courtroom. To respond, name it to yourself the moment you recognize it, because naming it interrupts it. Do not engage with the reversal, because you cannot win that argument in that moment. Document what was said and in what order, because DARVO works by creating fog, and a written record resists the fog. And seek witnesses who know the pattern over time, not the confrontation itself. The most effective abusers are not the ones who seem monstrous. They are the ones who, when confronted, seem like the most hurt people in the room. And knowing this doesn't make you cold, it makes you clearer. And clarity, knowing the name for what is happening while it is happening, is one of the few things that actually interrupts it.